Most people think closing deals is about better pitches or better marketing. What actually prepares you is learning how to navigate decisions, especially when the person who benefits isn't the one approving. So, here are 5 unexpected things that taught me how to do that. One, the restaurant with no reservation. So, I had friends visiting for one night. This is a few years ago. We couldn't book the restaurant online. So most people would have said, let's just pick somewhere else. I didn't. I told my friends, let's just show up and let's see. So when we showed up, I walked up to the host and I said, hey, the host's name, I've been telling my friends how amazing your restaurant is. They're only in town for one night. How can we make sure they get to try and then my favorite dish was, I think it was like the chicken parmesan or something. So what happened? Well, we got the table. So what this taught me was most people accept the system as fixed, but decisions are often flexible when you give someone a reason to say yes. In the 23 trillion disability market, your buyer is not waiting for more information. They're waiting for a reason they can justify the decision. All right, the second story, the gymnastics routine I couldn't memorize. Growing up, I was a gymnast and I got to the level, so just to give you a quick backstory, in gymnastics there are different levels. On some of the starting levels you have a fixed routine and everyone has the same routine and everyone has the same music. When you get to a certain level, you get to pick your own music and also you get to choreograph your own routine. And so I had someone choreograph my routine, but I had trouble memorizing it. So I would get to the competition and I would get halfway through and I would forget something and it would throw me off. So most people would have tried to continue memorizing it perfectly. Well, I didn't, because I was like, I don't want that to mess up my score next time. So I asked, what are the required elements I must hit in order to score? Because there were certain elements you had to. So that was like my framework. So I locked those in, and then thereafter, when I would go to the floor routine, and if I forgot something, I would always make sure that I had those specific elements that were required locked in, and then I would create something and improvise the dance part of the routine. So that built flexibility around everything else. And what this taught me was you don't need perfection. You do need to hit what matters most for the decision. So there needs to be some type of framework. In your deals, your demo doesn't need to say everything, but it does need to clearly state what matters to the user and what gets approved by the buyer. The third story, going to networking events alone. So when I first started going to networking events, I would go to networking events with people that I knew. And I did that because I was really nervous about me, like going up and introducing myself to someone I didn't know. But I felt more comfortable when I had someone that I knew come with me. And at some point I was like, you know what? I need to stop doing this because it's blocking me from something. I didn't know what that was, but I knew I needed to step outside of my comfort zone. So I stopped going to events with people that I knew. And what it allowed me to do was start to get uncomfortable. And so I had to go up to people, start a conversation, read the room. The biggest thing too was like connecting, because I was going to different industries that were outside of my industry that I knew. So it was unfamiliar territory. So I had to connect across industries. And what this taught me is you can't rely on familiarity. You have to learn how to connect in different contexts, whether that's industries or different types of people. And in the 23 trillion disability market, your user, buyer, influencer, and gatekeeper all speak different languages. So if you only know how to talk to one, your deals will stall. Number 4, the conference I almost missed. So I had submitted for a poster presentation for a conference. And it got closer to the date, and I thought, oh, well, mine probably didn't get accepted. So I found out 2 days before the conference that I was accepted to present. The email had went into my spam message. So most people would have said, it's too late, maybe next time. But I didn't. I prepared the presentation. After I prepared the presentation, that day I emailed the coordinator and said, hey, I am just seeing the email. It went in my spam message. I have my presentation ready, and I would like to know what location would you like me to set up my poster presentation. She emailed me back with the location, and I showed up 2 days later. So here's what mattered about this. When I presented, I made sure what I shared was clear enough that someone in the room could take it back to their team and explain it. And then the biggest thing is within 48 hours, not 2 weeks later, but 48 hours, I followed up with a clear email, supporting document, and a simple recap that the person that I met could use internally. And that conversation led to someone sharing my work with their team that turned into a client. And so what this taught me is it's not enough for someone to understand your work. They have to be able to carry it into a room where you're not in it. And in the 23 trillion disability market, your buyer is often not in the first conversation. So your job is not just to explain your solution. You need to equip the person in front of you to advocate for it. So can they repeat it clearly? Can they justify it? Can they share it with confidence? If not, the deal doesn't move because they don't have anything to go back and present it to their team because they're not even familiar with what it is that they're supposed to even be saying about your solution or whatever you present it. Okay, the last one, the canceled meeting I still showed up for. I had a meeting with a potential client. They canceled that morning. I didn't see it until I arrived to the meeting when I got in the parking lot. And most people may have said, you know what, okay, they canceled, I'll just go home now and reschedule. So I didn't. I walked in and I said to the receptionist, hi, I had a meeting with, and then I said their name. I just saw it was canceled when I arrived. Who would be the person available to speak with me today? Or who would be the best person available to speak with me today? So this taught me the meeting is not the opportunity, the environment is. And in the 23 trillion disability market, deals don't close because of one perfect call. They close because you understand who else can move this forward when the original path changes. None of these were sales tactics. They were all the same skill. One, understanding how decisions actually get made, and two, adapting in real time to keep them moving. Because in this market, your deals aren't stuck, they're unsupported. So when you learn how to support the decision, that's when they start to close. All right, if you want to actually build the frameworks behind how I think about this, join me this Sunday and Monday live for Conversion in the 23 trillion disability market. Recordings will be available after each session. We're not talking about this at a high level. You are actually going to be mapping out, think of it like a working session, your user versus your buyer, where your deals are stalling, and what your buyer actually needs to say yes. So your deals don't just start, they need to close as well. The link is in the bio, and I will see you there.